It terrorized the night, not by strength, but by cunning. It was the smartest dinosaur that ever lived. This spark of intelligence was snuffed out 65 million years ago. But had it continued to bloom, this remarkable creature might have inherited the Earth. These strange outcrops mark the site of the Lance Formation in eastern Wyoming, one of the most fertile dinosaur fields on Earth. For over a century, fossil hunters have found treasure here. The colossal bones of duck-billed dinosaurs and the infamous Tyrannosaurus rex. In 1993, paleontologist Craig Durstler of the University of New Orleans began exploring an area of rugged gullies and deep gulches he would name Dragon's Grave. The site has lived up to its name.
The dinosaurs in this formation are just very abundant compared to most places. The dinosaurs, of course, all date from the very latest part of the Cretaceous, and the top of the Lance Formation corresponds to the extinction of dinosaurs, so of course if you go above that, there are no dinosaurs left.
The sandstone in Dragon's Grave was laid down 67 million years ago, just 2 million years before the dinosaurs went extinct. Durstler and his team are reconstructing the final moments of this great dynasty. The presence of hadrosaur, or duckbill bones, came as no surprise. But then, the tiny fossils of an extremely rare dinosaur came to light. The discovery captured the attention of paleontologist Dale Russell at North Carolina State University. A specialist in dinosaur intelligence, Russell has tracked an elusive prey for nearly 3 decades. Dragon's Grave would provide happy hunting grounds.
Look at that, there's a vertebra coming out of the ground there. My gosh. Is that all you get is hadrosaur? We're after our antlers and hadrosaur.
Not at all, not at all. It was one of the things I wanted to show you was some of the other special stuff we've been getting. It's 99% hadrosaur, but the other stuff, the 1%, is great. Okay, here's the sorts of things that are in that 1%.
Look at that,
see that?
Ooh, wow. Boy, that's definitely juvenile. Definitely Troodon. That's nice.
Right. Troodon, a fossil hunter's prize. Durstler's collection of tiny Troodon juveniles, including fragments of their eggshells and minute baby teeth, is an exceptional find. In 1856, the fossilized teeth of a small dinosaur were discovered in Montana. The species was aptly named Troodon, which means wounding teeth. Few related fossils were ever found, and for more than a century, Troodon sparked little interest among dinosaur experts. All that would change when Dale Russell came upon the skull cap of a Troodon in a museum collection. The more he studied the fossil, the more it amazed him.
I sat and I turned that skull back and forward in my hands for probably 5 minutes. And then my heartbeat started going up. And I realized that I was seeing something that nobody'd noticed before.
Most dinosaurs' brains did not fill their brain cavities, but the Troodon brain was so large it left impressions on the inside of the skull. Russell embarked on a quest that would take him to the site in Canada where the skull had been discovered. He scoured the area until he unearthed the most complete Troodon skeleton ever found. For the first time, he could imagine what this large-brained dinosaur looked like. Troodon was every inch the predator, with razor-sharp serrated teeth and large, hook-like claws. Unique among the dinosaurs, Troodon had an opposable finger that gave it a firm grasp on its prey. Troodon belonged to a family of dinosaurs called the theropods, all bipedal predators, like Tyrannosaurus rex. But with a skull just 7 inches long, Troodon would have been dwarfed by its giant cousin. Consider their vital statistics. Troodon, 5 feet tall, under 100 pounds. Tyrannosaurus rex, nearly 40 feet tall, over 6 tons. But Troodon was built for speed. It took enormous strides, holding its middle claws above the ground. Its long, whip-like tail was highly flexible and may have enhanced Troodon's balance while it ran or leapt on its prey. Fleet-footed and agile, Troodon may have been one of the fastest small dinosaurs of its day. But lightweight anatomy means delicate bones, more likely to fall apart than to fossilize. Troodon remains are precious few. For Dale Russell, a partial Troodon skull and skeleton changed his way of thinking about dinosaurs forever. Here was a modest predator who surpassed all its contemporaries, including T-Rex, in sheer brain power.
They are so interesting because they are so highly evolved, so uncommon, so difficult to find, and so anatomically interesting. This dinosaur may be small, but its significance is very large.
No longer an evolutionary footnote, Troodon may rewrite the book on dinosaur intelligence. What Dale Russell discovered, etched in an ancient skull cap, would challenge conventional wisdom. It was long assumed that all dinosaurs were slow-witted. The logic was simple: huge body, tiny brain. Case in point, a 3-ton monster like Stegosaurus had a brain that weighed about 2 ounces. Troodon was about 40 times smaller than Stegosaurus, yet its brain actually weighed more. In fact, when compared to its body size, Troodon's brain was about 6 times larger than that of most dinosaurs. When the ratio of brain to body size is plotted on a curve, it shows a steady rise that begins with primitive life forms and culminates with human beings. Troodon placed higher on the curve than any other dinosaur. It also outranked the early mammals, our own ancestors. So much for the notion that dinosaur brains had reached an evolutionary dead end.
It was the first time that we realized that some dinosaurs had brains that were unusually large for reptiles, and that these creatures, the dinosaurs, were not a static group. They were evolving, and they were evolving towards higher levels of behavioral complexity.
Dale Russell also detected one other feature on the inner surface of the Troodon skull. The brain that left its mark there showed the beginnings of folding. The more complex a brain, the more folded its surface, as epitomized in human beings. The complexity of Troodon's brain was approaching that of some modern birds and mammals. What did a small predator do with all that brain power? It processed information from its highly developed senses, especially vision. With eyes that faced forward, Troodon had more refined depth perception than other dinosaurs. The ability to see in 3 dimensions was critical when leaping at fast-moving prey, like small mammals. Troodon's eyes were also very large, an indication it was probably a creature of the night. 70 million years ago, Troodon was perhaps better equipped than any other dinosaur to stalk the dark. With its keen senses and small stature, it could have crept into places thick with underbrush, where giant killers like T-Rex could hardly venture. Here, small prey scurried, and Troodon was king. Or so we thought. Until recently, these ideas were little more than educated guesses. Troodon fossils had never been found in a clear environmental context. Now, a glimpse of Troodon's lifestyle has been revealed in the rocks at Dragon's Grave. Bone by bone, bit by bit, Craig Durstler and his team are reconstructing the life and times of some of the last dinosaurs to walk the earth. For Dale Russell, Dragon's Grave provides the first detailed information on Troodon's habitat, its food resources, and the other creatures who shared this environment. Today, excavations are focused on a bone bed filled primarily with the remains of hadrosaurs, huge duck-billed dinosaurs. The species that thrived here at Dragon's Grave was Edmontosaurus. A plant eater, it stood 20 feet high and weighed 3 or more tons. Vast herds of Edmontosaurus once roamed this landscape, and somewhere out there, Troodon was living. Some 65 million years ago, in an age called the Cretaceous, the dinosaurs reached their peak. A dazzling array of species occupied every possible environment. Back then, Dragon's Grave was a river delta teeming with life. Herds of Edmontosaurus grazed the vegetation that grew near water's edge. Occasionally, a monstrous T-Rex would crash through the swamps and kill one of the large duckbills. Others succumbed to old age or disease. As they died, Edmontosaurus were washed into the water. In time, their bones became part of the natural levees that formed throughout the delta. A living example of this environment is the swampy ecosystem of Louisiana, Craig Durstler's home state.
The natural levee deposit that you can see immediately behind me is the kind of environment where the duckbill bones were accumulating. All you have to do is take this sediment, the bones which would have been incorporated inside, the plant debris which is very obviously growing and accumulating in this area, and put the duckbills into it as well, put the Troodons in, and voila. The environment is virtually identical to what it was like 65, 66 million years ago when Troodon was roaming, living, taking care of its young in Wyoming.
Durstler sees Troodon as the dinosaur equivalent of a cunning, present-day predator in the Louisiana bayou.
If you look for an analogy in terms of not just what they ate, but in terms of their functional abilities, in terms of their intelligence and so on, the best analog that we can find are coyotes. And that's one reason why Troodons are sometimes referred to as coyote dinosaurs. They're cunning, they're quick, they solve problems rapidly, they modify their behavior at the drop of a hat. It seems reasonable to push that for Troodons as well, because in this environment, in this late Cretaceous southern Louisiana here that we have here in Wyoming, you have Troodons as small, nimble, and the most intelligent creatures in the area.
Like a two-legged coyote, Troodon flourished in the rich environment that was Dragon's Grave.
The natural levee that the Troodons apparently were living on when they got incorporated into the bone bed was certainly one of those supermarket or grocery store environments, with all the plants, with all the insects that were there, certainly all the small animals that were available, certainly the duckbill, or possibly the duckbill carcasses as well. It was just a great place to live. It was a great place certainly to raise young as well. Because of the slight elevation on the natural levees, it was also a great place for mothers to watch out for danger when they were taking care of the young.
Troodon mothers may have laid their eggs near the banks of the levee, where the carcasses of duckbills piled up. In this way, Troodon young would have hatched to a ready source of food. The adult Troodon probably fed on a variety of fare: plants, insects, and our ancestors, the early mammals. During the Cretaceous period, mammals were small insect eaters whose sole refuge was the night. Most large killer dinosaurs had poor night vision. Then, Troodon arrived on the scene. Little escaped its acute eyesight, its nimble, grasping hands. The mammals had nowhere to hide. Master of the dark, Troodon may have posed a greater threat to mammals than any other predator on Earth. The coyote dinosaur might eventually have slowed the evolution of mammals to a dead stop. We will never know, for Troodon was suddenly cut down in its prime.
This dinosaurian community, in its flush of youth, was also a final expression of the beauty of the dinosaurian world, because just after the moment in time represented by this locality, a great extinction swept the surface of the Earth.
Scientists have yet to solve the mystery of the dinosaur's demise. Asteroids, volcanoes, or viruses may be to blame. Only the outcome is clear. By 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs were gone. But the story of Troodon does not end here at Dragon's Grave. It launches us into the future, from the dinosaur age to the space age. The extinction of the dinosaurs ushered in a new era in Earth history, the age of the mammals. The descendants of Troodon's tiny prey now rule the planet. But was the rise of our kind predestined, or could the evolution of life have taken a different course?
What would have happened if the mass extinction hadn't occurred? Mammals had been suppressed or limited to the small body size all through the Mesozoic. Now we have these small theropods moving in, certainly competing with mammals, certainly, or almost certainly preying on the mammals that were comfortable for a period of time. If the extinction hadn't occurred, you can project this one step farther. Perhaps these small theropods would have completely pushed the small mammals aside. At the very least, they would have kept them from ever getting large.
Natural selection had favored Troodon's acute vision, its grasping hands, and keen intelligence. What if it had continued evolving? Dale Russell would answer that question by projecting Troodon into a hypothetical future where dinosaurs had never gone extinct. He was prompted by a group of scientists interested in the evolution of life. but not on Earth. Experts at NASA were looking into a research project based on a bold proposition that life might exist elsewhere in the universe. They asked Russell to calculate the odds that it might be intelligent.
NASA was sponsoring a project called the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and they wanted to evaluate the probabilities of organisms appearing in extraterrestrial biospheres of arising and constructing a civilization and technology adequate to build radio telescopes to communicate with us across space. As a paleontologist, they asked me to please, would you, Dale, review the evidence of the evolution of the brain in organisms, the central nervous system through geologic time.
Russell reviewed brain-to-body ratios as they evolved through time. Before the extinction of the dinosaurs, mammals and Troodon had similar body-brain proportions. In theory, both had equal chances of becoming more highly evolved. 65 million years ago, Troodon was full of potential. Given another eon or two, it might have looked like this. The Dinosauroid, a hypothetical creature, humanoid in form, reptilian in biology. Hands like ours, skin like a snake's. Brain like ours, eyes of a dinosaur. A dinosauroid mother would have given live birth, as do some species of snakes and lizards today. But with no mammary glands, she would have regurgitated solid food for her baby. Dale Russell created the Dinosauroid by calculating how Troodon's skeleton would have changed if its brain had grown to the relative size of our own.
The eyes are focused more directly toward the front than they are in the dinosaur, so it probably would have had stereoscopic vision, as we happen to. The face is shortened. It has hands which it uses as tools and feeding devices rather than a jaw. The backbone is vertical, the pelvis is rotated beneath it, and it is our feeling, especially in view of the tremendous success of our own species and the bioengineering that it represents, which is the wisdom of millions of years, derived from a creature, incidentally, which is like a shrew and four-legged. We feel that this is a expectable, viable body form in our thought experiment, and it's actually a creature that departed from an ancestor which was bipedal, had a hand that had an opposable finger in it, had partly stereoscopic vision, and indeed the dinosaur looks more like us than our own ancestors did.
Had the dinosaurs survived, a creature like this might have built great cities, created works of art, and gazed at the stars, questioning the meaning of it all. A spark of what we define as human consciousness may have smoldered in a small dinosaur 70 million years ago. The fate of Troodon carries a message for our kind. But for a fluke of evolution, we might not be here. And scientists with emerald skin would study the bones of ancient mammals, wondering what they might have become.